What made you become a priest? As with almost all open-ended questions, this one gets asked with a ready-made answer already firmly in the mind of the interrogator. I've been asked it many times by many people. In pubs, once memorably before a man sicked 7 or 8 pints worth of Foster's all over himself. At dinners, I'm 90% sure I was invited to at least one dinner party to distract from the hosting couple's impending breakup. By people in the street, by members of my congregation. I've been asked more times than I can count. Over the years, I've realized that it's really several different questions, and expect several different answers, depending on where the questioner puts their emphasis. What made you become a priest? That's the tone adopted by a kindly stranger at a house party or drinks event when they learn what I do. It's almost always a precursor to a prolonged sharing of their own, often hostile attitude to religion, while I try desperately to catch eyes with someone who might swoop in and change the subject. They almost always carry the vague, lager-fueled hope that they, the brother of the girlfriend of someone I knew at university, might finally turn me away from the error of my ways. Oh, to have such faith. What made you become a priest? This is asked by one of 2 types of people. First, a disappointed bottomless bruncher, who hoped that being young-ish and male and in a pub frequented by Hindus meant I might otherwise have been fair game. Of course, the aftermath of bottomless brunch is perhaps not the right time to explain that the Church of England takes a more relaxed approach to clerical celibacy than Rome. Or, sadly more realistically and certainly far more often, by my mother, in response to some word of manifestly unchristian venom shot at a sibling, or an example of ungodly personal cleanliness. What made you become a priest? A knottier, more difficult question, asked by wise vicars of many years' standing, or by my fraught conscience of a sleepless night, and one I struggle to answer. Becoming hardly suggests something that happens overnight. Does anyone ever really grow into a role like mine? Can anyone truly become the priest they should be, least of all someone who first becomes so in their mid-20s? At what point does one truly become a priest? Am I there yet? How can someone who can't even remember Euro 96, or can still recall a playground grudge over Pokemon cards, I'm looking at you, Charlie, speak of life and death, love and beauty, heaven and God? How can anyone speak convincingly of the divine to a world that seems quite as far from it as this one? Fear not, however, dear listener. This is not some existentialist treatise. Coward that I am, I normally diffuse each and every one of these questions with humour. Taking a deep breath, I pretend to consider the question long and hard. I might allow my eyes to flit ever so briefly upwards, as if I were a prophet of old seeking to invoke divine wisdom, before uttering, well, I heard that black was slimming. The questioner will smirk and nod, their question expertly evaded. Occasionally, if they're feeling generous, I might even elicit a chuckle. It's a great get-out-of-jail-free response. We can move on to simpler things, houseplant maintenance, a friend's latest dating mishaps, the meaning of life. And it has the advantage of being true. Clerical wear really is slimming, although not perhaps for the reasons you might expect. But we'll get onto that later. In the meantime, welcome to a year in the life of a young, unlikely, unexpected, and frankly, unprepared priest.